Our podcast is all about you and your journey in music and how you got to where you are today.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Adam. It's so nice of you to have me. And like I said, I am in my roommate's room, so I apologize for the background, but I'm super excited to talk with you today. I just had a song release today, so it's
I
gonna.
was gonna say, I love the song. All your songs are amazing, but the one that you put out today is really cool. I had a chance to check out the video. I don't know if that's been out released yet too, but
Yes, it is actually. It came out 1 o'clock today. Well, 1 o'clock EST today. So like just a
well,
few hours after the song dropped.
okay, awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. I love the song. I want to talk to you all about it, and of course your journey to
Mhm.
where you are now. I did read you're from Bel Air, Maryland, not from Bel Air in
Yeah.
California, but
People
uh,
get that confused sometimes. They're like, well, why you're in LA? And I'm like, oh, I meant like the one all the way across the country, like the
sure.
Bel Air in Maryland that no one really knows.
Yeah, and then I researched Bel Air, Maryland. That's where John Wilkes Booth was from. The little
Yeah.
history lesson.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
think it does have some like history towards it. Or I guess when you get more towards like Baltimore, there's like a lot of artists like well, it's like a small town of artists too. But yeah, that is a
yeah,
fun
I'm like
fact.
the dude that assassinated Lincoln. He's from your
Yeah.
hometown. How about that?
Yeah, I take the greatest pride in that one. I guess.
I guess not, but
Yeah,
I just
no.
found that fascinating. I'm like, I've never heard of this town. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Well, what was it like growing up there? Tell me about that.
I mean, it was a pretty like I wouldn't even say it's like I guess it's a small town, but it's I had all my friends there and we were all pretty close. And Bel Air is kind of like a warp, as we call it. Like once you like grow up in Bel Air, like you can travel all over the place and you most likely will end up back in Bel Air. So it's definitely a little hard little place to get out there. But I actually live in Baltimore now and
Okay.
not that far from Bel Air. It's maybe 35 minutes, so it's pretty close.
Just
But
outside of Bel Air.
yeah, it's pretty much just outside of Bel Air. It's like the city, and then you go outside of the city, and you'll be there.
Right on. Very cool. Well, how did you get into music?
I got into music a lot when I was younger. I mean, as a lot of people did, I grew up with music around the household, except for the fact that my dad was very much involved in it. Even though he didn't pursue music, he went to college for music. He just had a
Really?
passion for music and drumming. Like he wasn't like he didn't like sing or anything, but he just loved live music and everything. So he slowly kind of built a music studio in our basement. And I think that's when I was really just introduced to like different instruments, and he would have like his bands come down and play in that room. He started getting us guitars, and I just kind of fell in love with performing when like somebody told me, I think it was one of my friends in high school. She's like, they do this variety show every year, and like people get up there and sing, like you should do it. So I got up there with a friend of mine the first like year when I was, I think 15. It was my sophomore year, and we performed in front of the entire school. I remember we played like a John Legend song, All of Me, and it was just like it was so fun. I just remember like kind of falling in love with performing at that time, but never thought it would ever work out for me the way it has. But that's kind of
Wow.
how the whole thing started. I mean, there's little stories in between there. Like I got a guitar when I was 16, and
Yeah,
you
I
know,
would love to.
I
Yeah, I
got
was gonna ask you. So, with your first, I've seen pictures just on your Instagram, like where you're holding your guitar. You're like, I write like 99% of my songs in the bathroom, which I thought was funny.
yeah.
But you're holding a guitar. I obviously was that the first instrument you learned how to play?
Yeah, well, so when I was younger, my mom like got me in piano lessons, but I just never really like when you're younger, you're like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah,
I feel like a
you don't
chore.
care.
Yeah, I didn't really care that much. I hate to say it because I feel like this is like a bad thing. Like some people, you should go through music lessons, but I hate music lessons. I like have such a hard time when people try to tell me what to do with music, even though I know it's good for me.
Sure.
But I learned off of YouTube when I wanted, like when I had the time. But yeah, my first guitar was a seagull. I actually have it tattooed like on my arm
Do
right
you
here.
really?
Yeah, can you see it? Yeah, it's a seagull. It's
I
a
love. I did. I could see it. That's
yeah, it's just funny
awesome.
because no one's asked me that question yet. What was your first instrument? So had to show you. But when I the reason I got it tattooed on me is because to get them like a Martin, which is what I wanted, and this was before
Mhm.
everything happened. I had to trade in my seagull so I could get money for the new guitar, and I was like handing it over, and I was like, wow, like I'm pretty sad. Like this thing went through like my first
Right.
shows, me learning how to play guitar. So I was like, well, I can't keep the guitar, which I wish I would have at this point. But I got it tattooed on me, so it's always there. So when I play, you can kind of see like the
That's
seagull
amazing.
on the
That
line.
that that's a cool story behind it, though. I
Yeah.
mean, what it's still, you'll still have it with you, even though you had to give it up. Did you get the Martin?
I did get a Martin. Yeah.
Okay, well there you go.
Yeah. And it's so weird 'cause people are like, yeah, you branded your like tattoo or like you branded your guitar on you. But it'd be so weird for me if it was like a Martin or something, because it was Seagull. I feel like it's not like as like, it's not a Martin or what, like a Taylor. So it's
Right.
very like, it just, and the logo on, I actually like copied the exact like what it was on my guitar. So it's like the exact logo. But yeah, I don't know
Oh,
why for me Seagull was like different than like Martin or Taylor. So I was
it's
like, this
still
is cool. Some
that's a
people were
cool
like, you go to
story.
college where like the seagull was like your mascot. I was like, no.
That would be a worse story, right? You're like,
Yeah,
yeah, I was so into high school, I even got like our thing tattooed on my
yeah.
arm.
Yeah, so I hate that people think of it as that. So, but I try to tell them a story, but sometimes it's like weird to explain tattoos, you know?
Sure, sure. I have a slew of them that people,
Yeah.
but that's cool. So you got the guitar. That was your first instrument.
Yeah.
Prior, did you like you said your dad was a drummer and you had like a jam room. Would you
Yeah.
ever go down there as a kid and like, would you hang out down there when he was having practice or anything like
Oh yeah.
that?
Oh yeah. We actually, I mean, as I got into my college years, actually too, we actually play together now, like at live, like bars,
Really?
restaurants. He'll play drums, and like I play guitar now too. So we'll just do like a kind of like an acoustic set, but with some, percussion in there. So we actually do play together like out live. But even when I was younger, yeah, like my dad was like, "I'm gonna go play the drums, like come sing," and we'd have the whole microphone set up and play guitar. But even have like some of my friends over from like high school that played music, and he'd come down. It's funny, even when you tried to go in there and practice alone, you'd always hear that door and he'd be like, "Hey, like, what are you doing?" Even if you like working, he's like, are you playing?" Like, he's the most like has to play with you sort of person. So yeah, for sure we played together.
That's amazing. I couldn't
Yeah.
see that though. Like if you're way into an instrument and then you're like, oh, my daughter's playing down there. I
Yeah.
wonder if I could
Yeah.
just hop on the kid and jam
And you
with her
can
for a
hear it
minute.
from the whole house. Like, you cannot play an instrument in that house with being quiet. So sometimes we'd be like, me and my sister would like sneak downstairs, like, okay, we're gonna go sing, but like, you have to be quiet. So like, dad doesn't come downstairs to try to play drums. Like, dad, we're just trying to do a little acoustic thing right now. He's
Sure.
like, oh, well, this is actually the time I was gonna play my drums. So
Funny, you were down here.
yeah,
This is the exact
literally,
moment I was gonna be here.
for sure that's what it
Okay,
was.
well, tell me about that talent show. Was that the first time you really played live in front of people?
Yeah, I think that was, I mean, I had posted like covers of me singing with like guitar like in my bathroom. The reason I choose the bathroom, I love the acoustics. Sometimes like when you're just in a house, like I've never like had like even the studio downstairs, it's like not good acoustics. So the
Hmm.
only place I could really find this like acoustic sound was like in the bathrooms and stuff. So even like at my new place, I'd play in the bathroom and post covers. And so that show was the first um show I've done
Like
with
live in
an
front of
audience. Yeah,
people.
like a live
Okay.
performance. I mean, maybe like in front of my family before that, but yeah, it was the first one ever. And then I got to college and I was doing nursing because I just thought it was a stable, career, and I did like
Sure.
it a lot. I just, I've always had this like passion to do music, as a lot of people do have a passion that's outside of their, path they've kind of went for, which is sad. It's so sad to think about that sometimes. Because I did it, and I think I would have had a great, time doing nursing, but it's just like such a different change in pace. But then I got to college, and so because I was doing nursing and a waitressing job, I was just like, I need to get back into music somehow.
Hmm.
Um, Started kind of just talking around with local people. I got to hang out with like a DJ who like was, and whenever you'd go to like a local bar, he was the guy who was DJing. And I got connected with him to, produce some music. And then, from there, the bar asked me to play live music, and I said no at first because I didn't want to play a 3-hour set nor know how to.
That's a
And
lot of, yeah, that's a lot of songs.
it is. Yeah. And like 3 months later, like I was like, God, I hate this waitressing job. I'm making like like literally sometimes I'd walk out, and I loved the people I worked with. Like I always had a fun time waitressing just because like it's like a family you kind of get connected with. So I did
Mhm.
love like the place, but I wasn't really making anything. And this bar was offering me 150, and I was like, well, I'll take it. And ever since then, I was able to pick up enough gigs where I was making like so much more than I was waitressing. So I quit that job and just started playing around Baltimore for like the past 2 years, like on and off because of COVID. But when I was playing like fully during the summer, I was doing like 3 to 5 gigs a week that were 3 to 4 hour sets. But I had fun.
Wow.
I'd walk out of there with some money, and my fingers would feel like they're like literally cutting open. But
Sure.
it
Was
was
it all covers or were you kind of sprinkling in your own music or were you always writing songs?
I kind of like felt out the crowd. It was, I would say most of the time it was like 99% covers. Sometimes I
Mhm.
throw an original here or there, but I didn't really have much original music. And I love just feel like good practice is like playing songs that people like and kind of turning them into like a different sort of style. And people are like, I love how you did that song, but like you didn't sound like that song. And so I took like pop songs or like rap songs or even like slow country songs and maybe turned them into pop songs and just kind of like changed the style as how I wanted them. And I had a lot of fun with that. So people were like, well, what kind of like music do you play when I'm out the bar? I'm like, I don't know. I play everything, but I kind of just make it like my own sound. And
Sure.
I love when people do that. I love hearing covers where it's like maybe a rap song and they're just like playing it like acoustically and you know the words, but you're like, how do I know the song? You know, but you're
Yeah.
singing it, but like it's acoustic. So I loved doing that. And I did that a lot, even like, you know, some like Tory Lane songs, I think, you know, a few years ago, but things like that, I would just change.
Yeah, that must have been a pretty fun process too. I mean, picking the song and being like, oh, how can I really break this down into my own version of it?
Yeah, it was fun. And I feel like if you just kind of play it, it just kind of flows. And me and my sister would play together all the time and we would turn songs into, you know, like just acoustic songs, even if they were like major pop or, you know, EDM songs. And we would sing them together and just kind of slow them down and like learn to harmonize with each other. So it's just kind of fun and do that live. And, you know, some live gigs were awful and, you know, you have no one listening. And some other gigs, like people are, you know, people are watching and they come to you and they're like, this is like what you're supposed to be doing. And some people would get like really like into it and it, you know, made you feel good. Sometimes you would leave and it wouldn't be fun. And sometimes you would leave and you're like, I'm so glad I did that. And I think that's like every experience.
Sure, sure. Well, you talked about having your dad come out and perform with you. Does your sister still play, or does she
It
perform
does.
with you?
Yeah, she's actually trying to like take some of the gigs that because I don't really play that much live around here anymore. Trying to
Mhm.
like focus on, you know, just getting like my original music and kind of some like shows
Sure.
together.
Yeah,
I'll still
sure.
play some breweries. Like I have fun doing it, but it probably be more occasionally. So I'm
Right.
actually giving her some of the connections that I had. But yeah,
Oh, cool.
she
Like
plays
handing the
guitar.
torch off to her. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Is she younger or older than you?
she's younger than me.
Oh, even
She's
cooler.
20 right now, but we're not that far apart in age. So we're like, I think like a year and 9 months apart, but so we're pretty close.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, like I want to know about, okay, so you put this song up, this song Lust. Was that the first song you ever wrote, or was that the first song that you ever put up really as like an original? Like, is it
Yeah.
blew up on
So
TikTok, right? It's kind of
it
where it
did.
sparked.
I wouldn't say like blow up is kind of a weird word to describe it as because it didn't like blow up, but it like had way more traction, you know, than anything else I've ever posted. Um,
Okay.
so I was posting covers on there like I usually did on my other platforms. It
Hmm.
wasn't the first song I wrote. I wrote a few more songs before then, but you know, again, I really didn't start writing full like songs until college. Since I started playing live gigs, I was like, I'm gonna try to produce, you know, not produce myself, but write stuff to get
Hmm.
produced. And so I, you know, had this song Lust that I really liked. And, you know, the production wasn't where I wanted it to be. And I was like, I really want it to be there. I ended up sending it to a producer in my area and I got the first cuts back and we listened to it and I played it, you know, I was at the beach and I played it for my boyfriend there and I played it for my dad when I got home. And they're like, this is like, you know, when people are like generally like, oh yeah, this is good. Like I like it. But they were like,
Yeah.
stop. And they're like, no, like this is like really good. Like people are gonna
R-
like this if you just get it
uh-huh.
out there. And I was like, okay. So I tried. And I posted a little like clip of it from on my TikTok and it like got, you know, a few thousand likes. And, you know, I know that's, you know, TikTok sometimes people are like, that's nothing. Like I can get like millions of likes. But what was
That's
special to me is that people noticed for the first time that
right.
I was like writing and that I, you know, I wanted to write and I had this sound that I didn't even really know then, you know, I was like, I know it's like cool, but you know, a lot of people try to do this and it's so true. A lot of people do. So ever since then I used that platform to keep doing it. I mean, I wrote, you know, Hit Me Up If You Don't Like Me, which was kind of like a total Black Bear, like sort of pop song.
Hmm.
And I wrote that to a Black Bear tweet and he ended up seeing it and just like liked it. And then liked like make this into a full song. And, you know, I'm sure he saw the acoustic video, but I don't know if he ever saw anything after that, but it was just cool to like, that he saw it in
Yeah,
general.
that he acknowledged it. I mean, that's pretty
And for
wild in
me, I could
itself.
like I could turn that into like, hey, he saw this. Like, you know, it's like a whole like marketing game on yourself. And sometimes it's like really annoying to portray yourself a certain way with marketing on TikTok. But you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And so
Right.
I did the same thing with Hands to Myself after that. Just kind of wrote it, you know, I'm sitting on my bathroom floor again. You know, that one does a few a thousand likes. Come Up to Lust. I wrote it to a comment, or no, not Lust, Love You from a Distance,
Hmm.
which I wrote to a comment. And you know, it just was kind of the best video I posted then. And I kind of held it off for a while. I was like, you know what? Like people want this song. I'm going to put it on an EP. And so I worked on the CP, and then I was like, you know what, like the CP is taking too long. I don't exactly feel like it's my right sound yet. Like it's not there. I'm just gonna put out Love You from a Distance. People want that one.
Mhm.
So I hyped it up that week. I had like no traction on it because people forgot about it. And so I just started making videos, like video after video, like, hey guys, do you remember this song? Like it's coming out. Um, you just use any marketing scheme I could figure out. Like it was like National Text Your X Day. And I just saw that the night before the song. I was like, so I made a video. So I was like, oh gosh, not me releasing this song on National Text Your X Day. People were like, no, like it generated, the traction, and it got people to hear the song again. And, that night, I got on live and had the most people I've ever seen watch me release a song, over like 1,300 people, which was just insane
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
from any live I've ever had. I was shocked. People have like screenshots of me of literally like like this, like how do you talk to that many people? Like I was expecting maybe like 100 or so. Um,
Right.
and that song streamed like 10,000 within like the first like probably less than an hour. And by the end of the next night it was 125,000 streamed, like just the most I've ever seen. It charted the iTunes that day,
Mhm.
Apple Music. I had no clue what was going on. No clue. I was just doing this from, my house, like writing like that song. I literally just wrote on the bathroom floor. Like, I say it so many times, but I literally laid down, just did it to a comment, just like laying there on the floor. I didn't have any co-writers on that one or anything. It was just, it's just crazy that people related to it so much, and I didn't know that they would.
Mhm.
So I
With
ended up putting off that EP
Well,
because
we yeah, well, with that success, I mean, of that song just blowing up like that, is that to me must have been like I can't even fathom that, like seeing that many things, like, and then what are you just watching the streams like, oh my gosh, now it's at
yeah.
100,000, now it's at 200,000, like it's almost like a slot machine. You're
It,
go back and check it. Go, this is and was your phone just going nuts? Like I think you'd have to just turn it off at one point, right? Because your
yeah, it
notifications are
was.
gonna blow the thing up.
It's kind of funny how you compare it to the lottery, because it kind of is. And most in life, you're lucky enough to hit the lottery once. It's very hard to hit the lottery twice. So I think it's such a bittersweet feeling. Like I have so many songs that I think are good and probably better than Love You from a Distance. Um, but to have that much traction, it's almost like you need to constantly compare yourself to that first traction that you had when you have a
Mhm.
blow up moment like that. And that's why I said I never wanted to blow up. I wanted to gradually gain an audience, which I think is happening. But it was weird, like watching my phone go up, like, you know, the thousands of streams in like a minute or something. It just was like insane to watch how many people were listening to that song. So yeah, it was definitely weird, and it made me kind of like not want to put my phone down, because when you have attention like that, it's like
Feels
what,
good.
yeah.
Right?
But it's also very scary, because like you feel like you have to like live up to that. And so it was the first time I was like, this music thing is fun, but now it's like, do I want to make this into a career where I'm like actually trying to get people to listen to my music? Because I wasn't, as much as I like to say I was like trying the marketing stuff, it was totally just for fun for me. Like I never was like, I need this to happen for me. Like I need it. Um, and so now it's kind of like switching into that career of like, okay, I do kind of like need this. So it's definitely like an unstable sort of situation. But yeah, I mean, I don't think people have really dropped off. I think people are still there listening to my music, and
Yeah.
and I
Millions of
keep seeing
people are still
people every
listening to
day.
it. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, a million people are still there. So, and I hope with this song, today's kind of a Thursday to release, but Friday's usually when people really are looking for that new music. So I'm hoping we have a good day tomorrow. Yeah, it was very weird, but it can get you humble.
S-
It can
But
make you
super
pretty humble after
exciting.
it stops.
Yeah, right. Well,
Yeah.
I'm curious when this all kind of happened. You're in nursing school.
Mhm.
Were you guys like did this happen after like the whole world had kind of locked down?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
happened during COVID when I started posting that original music. It was like over the summer where it just started. And I think COVID kind of helped me. And I hate to say that because like, it was awful, the situation. I actually worked with COVID patients in the hospital
I was going to ask you
during
about
that
that. I'm
time.
sure you were probably really close to that whole thing
Yeah,
happening.
I was very close to that whole situation, especially working for student nursing in hospital and having my school be in a hospital. Um, but I started posting, when I was home and when I wasn't in nursing school. Um, and it just started to kind of do its thing. And yeah, I mean, it was weird because after a while people were like, don't you do music, like why I didn't even know you were here anymore, because like we wouldn't see each other in class anymore because of COVID. We just saw maybe your little group at the hospital that you were working at. But I'd go show up at like, sometimes we had to do like, COVID testing for
Mhm.
patients or flu vaccines. And they're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm finishing my degree. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
What
I was
about
kinda like,
yeah.
"Oh, what do you mean?" Like, I'm not like, I didn't wanna just throw away my whole, lifetime of education for like that. I was almost done, So
Yeah.
I
So
finished it
did you
out
you
and
finish? Did you finish?
yeah, I did
Oh,
finish. I graduated.
congratulations.
Thank you. I graduated in December.
I
Um, yeah, pretty recently I did, but I never went into the field. So I graduated and immediately signed a record deal with Darkroom Interscope and decided to take that path.
well, you always have the nursing thing to fall back on, right?
Yeah, people always say that to me, and I'm like, yeah, but I hope I kind of like don't have to do
Right.
that because I made the decision to go. But
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be the worst thing ever. I think I could find an awesome job doing, nursing,
Well, I don't think
everything.
you'll have to worry about it, to be honest, but
Maybe if I
hey.
want, maybe eventually if I want a more like low key career, I'll be like,
Sure.
you still hiring? I
Yeah.
got my degree
Uh,
like 10 years ago.
do you remember like when the, fire was kind of happening with Love You from a Distance and like and your TikTok was blowing up, were you, I'm sure like students and your peers at school were probably like you said, they were like, "Oh, you're still here?" Like were they kind of excited for you or like, "Oh my gosh, like I saw your video, it has like X million plays."
Yeah, I mean, so the millions kind of happened right around that time that we weren't in school anymore and I was only in the hospital. And when you're in the hospital during COVID, you
Not
can't
a
see
lot of
any
chatter.
that, but also you can't see me at all. Like no one know, you know what I mean? Like I am
Oh,
fully masked up, like PP. You can't see any of my hair. Not that that would make a difference. Like I was like totally like recognizable or anything like that. But it's just like everyone just looked the same, and we were all
mhm.
just kind of doing the job we were there to do. So I think people really didn't comprehend it as much, and it's kind of hard to wrap your head around for people who know you. Even my friends will be like, I can't comprehend how well your music is doing because I talk to you every day and you're just kind of the same person, which I totally am.
Right.
But it's very hard to even tell for me or anyone around me, how, because like people are like, oh, you're like trending in this in the UK. And like, well, we're not from the UK. Like, I mean, I can see it on social media, but like you don't fully get that impact, especially without like live music happening and not being able to play live for people. So
Sure.
it's very hard to tell. But at my nursing job that I had, they found out because I had to tell them I was quitting. Like, oh, what nursing job did you get? Like, what field are you going into? And I was like,
Record.
weirdest thing to explain. I was like, music industry. I'm like,
You're like,
what?
"So I signed to a major
And
label and"
yeah, and whenever you say that, people are like, so you're just gonna go like sing, like that's what you're gonna do? I'm like, I mean,
Like,
kinda, yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
So it was weird, but then they all like found my music and they're like, oh my gosh, this is you. Like we didn't know this was you. And then they ended up throwing me like a huge music party, which was the cutest thing ever. When I ended up my last day, they threw me like they had my music on, they invited me in the break room. This was a GBMC, the women's outpatient clinic there. They were the
Wow.
sweetest people ever. And instead of like being like, oh, she's not, like she's quitting to do, they were like so appreciative and like so happy for me and put on my music in the break room. I had a cake sitting out there that said like,
Wow.
congratulations, Ashley, on like pursuing music. And I was like, I walked in there, I was like, I never expected this like support from like the nursing community. And people have like their opinions on nurses, and they're really, I mean, I would say 96% of them probably in that category are the nicest people you will ever meet. And
Mhm.
they're just amazing people.
That is so cool. How like what a special moment to have, you think
Right.
that they're gonna be like, "Oh, she's just gonna leave us." And then it's
Mhm.
like they throw you like this celebratory party, kind of a
That's what I thought. So you just goes to show like how no matter how stressed they are during COVID, taking care of all these patients, they had time to like kind of put aside that for like a hot sec, and everyone would come in and out, and throw me a student nurse who's been working there for maybe a few months like a going away party to not even
sure.
a nursing career. So it was really nice.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, you were talking about having like an EP, you wanted to put out an EP, but then, the success of Love You from a Distance just happens.
Mhm.
Like at this point, like when the numbers are going crazy, is that when like major labels are like, "Hey," like calling you up and trying to
Yeah.
like was that a weird thing to have happen?
Yeah, I mean, that was a crazy time because, again, I was in nursing school at the time. Luckily, I wasn't too much in class. It was a lot online.
Mhm.
So, but I would do like a nursing shift or the days I was working in the hospital. And then the all next day I would schedule like label meetings because they were reaching out in like the boatload. And like, it was just kind of one person told me like, if you need help, like always call me, because this is going to get a lot for you. I was like, a lot for me, like this is cool, it's exciting, like record labels are reaching out. But then you started getting like a lot, and you're like, I'm still so grateful for everyone I talked to. Like I met a lot of awesome people that didn't even like sign with, that I still like talk to or very much respect, and
Sure.
the whole industry. And it was just a crazy time though, because I was trying to balance this life, and I had my little note sheet of all the record labels I had and why what their names were, who I talked to. And I'm the worst with names and faces, especially if we don't meet in person. I
Yeah.
can't like associate anything with you except for like a screen. So it's very like hard for me to remember people. So going through and a lot of their questions were, okay, like now we're getting down to the wire. Like, do you want to like pursue music, or do you want to, go into nursing? And I'm like, I don't know. My answer at the time was, I don't know. And, that's not exactly like comforting answer to like a record label who wants to sign you and like invest this time in you.
Right.
But eventually I found Darkroom Interscope, who actually reached out through my like producer. And once they did that, we had this meeting, and they're like, and I thought it was just like another meeting. I was like, I had a ton of these label meetings, and my producer, Eric, he was like, oh, we're just gonna take this meeting like during our session today. And I was like, okay, like that's fine. And we logged on, and I was just kind of like blown away by the energy the team had and everything. And they kind of won me over, and I ended up signing with them, and they just made me feel so comfortable in what I was doing. And I feel like that's very hard to do when you walk into such an unstable career where,
Hmm.
your success kind of relies on, your creativity, which is kind of something I take a lot of pride in. So like, you want to do well, you want to do a lot better than, you ever did. Because if you have another career, it's kind of like, oh, well, like whatever, like, or waitressing or something. It's like, whatever, like they were mad at me because their sauce wasn't
Right.
right or something. But it's like,
Right.
when you do this job, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, they don't like it. Like, this is not me. Like, this is my feelings.
It's
Like,
all opinion based,
yeah.
right? I
So
mean, yeah.
there's a lot to think about switching over. Like, it's not just like, oh my gosh, it's like shiny record deal. It's like, no, it's like, are they going to be there for you? Are they going to like, is this team what you want? Is the music industry what you want? And I eventually sat down. I was like, I can't, at the end of the day, it came down to, I can't imagine myself not trying this, like not
Mhm.
trying. Because it's just, you get an opportunity like that, it's very hard to turn that down. And it's
Yeah.
amazing so far. I mean, I love my team. Absolutely love the team. They're always there for me. They're helping me so much, kind of, work my way into this industry, because I am so new, few
Hmm.
months new. So it's just very fun, but very interesting, and a very weird time to go into it.
Very exciting, I'm sure. And then, so with the song that you just released today, which is awesome, amazing.
Thank you.
Was that something you were sitting on prior, or was like this kind of a new, like you
Yeah.
signed to this deal, and then are you like, I have these songs, like do you have to like win them over on your previous material?
Yeah, you know what? I like had a lot of songs that they did love, and I think that's what kind of helped them, feel comfortable in the decision to have me on their team.
Hmm.
Was, the songs that I did have, and those songs are still, a lot of people ask like, what happened to these songs? Like, are they ever going to come out? You just released something we didn't even know about. And 100%, like a lot of the songs we're working on right now, we just felt like the production, and the state that it's in, like that sort of stuff could, we could just work on it more, like we
Hmm.
have the time, we can, if we like it that way, then we can go back to it. But like, why not try some new things? That's what career is all about. Um, so If I Could was actually written with a band called Voila, and I think I always pronounce their name wrong because it's pronounced in like a different, sort of way you say it. But they're
Sure.
Gus and Luke, and they're amazing songwriters, also just awesome people, the most friendly people ever. Gus called me today and was like, congratulations on the release, like this is awesome, I love it. And he was the one who produced the whole thing, and he's just like totally into it. And so we wrote it about one of their relatives, actually. Gus, one of his relatives who was very young, was going through cancer, and we kind of started talking about it, and we were like, it's not something I experienced with, someone I knew going like younger going through cancer. But
Mhm.
then as we started writing the song, I was like, this could totally explain so many things that I've felt in my life about, watching other people in pain, or watching people, watching me as I go through pain, and how you wish you could take that away from them. And it's just like kind of a, pain is awful, but it's like almost watching someone in pain that you can't take it away is such a weird position to be in, and it's like devastating almost. And I've had some recent events come up where I felt that a lot, and the song just felt so right to like release. And I think it's a very emotional release. It's just a great song, and I wrote it with them, and I feel like it's just a special thing. We just thought it would be the perfect song to kind of put out as my first song with this label. But that doesn't mean we don't have all these songs coming out very soon. It's just it's just the start, and that's what's
Sure.
exciting about it.
I love it. And then you did a beautiful music video as well to the
Yeah.
song. What was that like? Was that your first video that you've shot like on that scale?
I actually shot with one of my friends, Giles, from 1824, but he wasn't, I think he was in 1824 at the time, but I don't think he's associated with them right now. But he's awesome, and he learned a lot from them and was able to shoot out some of my music videos before. So I kind of had that comfort level of like being in front of a camera, but
Mhm.
this was 100% the most, professional, higher, pressure thing that I've done.
Right, right,
But I
right.
mean, once I was there, I mean, I love video stuff. I love pictures, everything like that. I'm the one who's during the music video though. Like, I want to be like, I want to watch it as I'm doing it, and that's hard because I'm the one in front of the camera. So I have to like go up every time and just be like, "Can I see that?" Like,
Uh,
but I
Can I
love
see
it.
that
It's so
take?
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, but I can tell when they're like, "This looks good." Like, keep doing that. Like the director, who's Clyde, she was amazing. Like, I love when directors are like, keep doing that, or like do something like this, or yes, this looks like really good, because you just want to be in a room, especially when you're like singing about one of your own songs. You have to kind of be in this like state to like kind of sing the song. It's awesome to have people that are like hyping you up around you. So it was an awesome experience, especially out in LA, which was my first time, going out there, because we couldn't go out there for the longest time because of COVID, and I'm all the way across
Oh,
the country. So we went out
yeah.
there strictly for me to do the video, and I got tested a bunch of times, and now I just got my first vaccination today. My arm's feeling kind of sore.
Oh, yeah.
um,
I did what, yeah. I had I've only had the first one too. And like my arm, not the scary. My arm felt like dead arm for like 3 days.
mine's starting to feel kind of like that, but it's whatever. I'm used to I feel like it just feels like a shot, but I heard it gets worse the second day. But
It's all right.
I don't feel I don't feel anything at all. So I'm like,
Yeah, I didn't get
okay.
any like the weird sickness or anything. It was just
I
my
watched
arm.
someone pass out though today while I was like, getting done. I was like, and you're like sitting in a chair as they're like kind of like waiting for you to react, and you're like, am I gonna pass out? But I was fine.
Sure.
I just I got up and was like, okay, I'm good. But it's just a scary thing to watch someone else pass out. But shot anxiety is a real thing. I mean, a lot of people have it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally. And as a nurse, I'm sure you've seen it all.
I have.
Well, Ashley, thank you so much for taking time to hang out with me and
Thank
talk
you.
this evening. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, this was really fun. I'm sorry it got like so dark in here. As I'm talking,
No, it's okay.
I have natural light, and it's like 7:30 here. So, but no, thank you so much. This was fun. I'm glad I was able to, talk a little about the release today, because I haven't talked about it as it's been out yet. So this was
Super
nice.
exciting. Yeah, I saw that it came out today. I had the little advanced listen,
Yep.
and I'm like, oh, it came out, because I was thinking it would be coming out tomorrow because it's
That's what
usually on a
everyone thinks.
Friday.
So I think
And
people
then
are
I'm
like a
like,
little
do I have the
confused.
date wrong here? And then I went on your Spotify. I'm like, no, it's out.
I had people like, oh, I'm staying up till midnight. I was like, please don't do that. It's not coming out of midnight.
Just stay up till 1 p.m.
Yeah, so I think people are like really gonna know it's out tomorrow. I mean, people know obviously out today, but people that follow it for like a morning release, like they kind of wake up like, oh, I get to play it first thing. For me, it didn't come out till like 10 a.m. So people are already at work, and it's kind of so I
Yeah.
think tomorrow will be an exciting day as well, kind of like a second release day.
I love it. Very, very cool. I have one more question before I let you go. I
Yeah.
want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, everyone says that, the whole thing is like never give up on that stuff, but I just want them to know that I think people have, which I felt first too, is people have this time restraint on their career. They think because for me, I'm 22, because I'm not like a 13-year-old, coming up from, you know, working in the music industry. I came from a nursing program a few months ago, and now I'm signed to, one of the biggest record labels in the world, which I'm beyond grateful for. The biggest lesson to take from that is that no matter how old you are or how old you think you are, you can still walk into an industry or walk into a job that you want to do and that you want to pursue. It is not too late to try. And that's my biggest takeaway. And that's something I had to learn too. I thought I was too old to do it. And I know that sounds crazy, but like when you like go into this industry, you're like, oh my gosh, this girl's like 16 and she has like, 5 million listeners. And it's like, just take it at your own pace. There's a lot of awesome musicians and awesome people in industries that have, made their way up when they're like 40, 50, but age does not matter. And that's something I had to learn.
Bringing it backward.